In this problem, we're going to find drd theta, where r is 1 plus secant theta times sine theta. And I'm actually going to do this problem twice. The first way I'm going to do it is just by taking the derivative of exactly what was written on the page. So I have a first function times a second function. I'm going to have to use the product rule. The first times the derivative of the second plus the second times the derivative of the first. The derivative of 1, of course, is 0, so I just need the derivative of secant, which is secant tangent. And so now I'm looking at this expression, and let's see if I can simplify it. When I distribute, this is just cosine theta. Secant theta and cosine are reciprocal, so that's cosine of theta plus 1. And here I just need to multiply these two together. Well, sine times secant. Well, secant's 1 over cosine, so that's sine over cosine is tangent times tangent is tangent squared theta. So I'm looking at this equation, right? And so I found my derivative. Maybe that's as simple as I can think to make it right now. So let's let that sit there and just do the problem over again, but using a slightly different approach. Instead of doing the derivative of exactly what's on the paper here, I'm going to do some algebra first. I'm going to distribute. So 1 times sine theta is sine theta, plus sine theta times secant. But secant's 1 over cosine, so that's a sine over cosine. So let's see, that's sine theta plus tangent theta. So let's see here. drd theta should be cosine theta plus the derivative of tangent is secant squared theta. And I'm a little worried because that's not exactly what I had written here. But then I remember those Pythagorean identities we ended one of our last videos with, and 1 plus tangent squared is secant squared. So these two expressions are equal. And they're both fairly well simplified. And if I was grading this by hand, I'd probably mark them both correct. But I mention this because if you're doing problems out of the textbook, or maybe even in my math lab, you might need to work on them just a little bit to make them match what the textbook thinks the answer is in the back, or maybe even what my math lab wants the answer to be. So, that's it for now.